all for sharing, and congratulations for taking on a new venture in your life. It's exciting, that's for sure. So we're going to go over a couple things here about insurance and what it is, what you need, at least what I feel is important to have as a business owner. And let me touch on this very first slide. And some of this is changed up a little bit than the order of your slides. I'll take full responsibility for that because I tweaked them this morning to do it. And I sent it to Patty with the subject line, is it too late to add this? So 80% of small businesses don't recover when an insurance claim or when a claim is filed and they don't have proper insurance. Let me touch on this just briefly with a story, as Patty alluded to. It's very, very common for folks to go a little bit short on a type of coverage called business interruption. Okay? Business interruption is coverage that you will get that would help cover your income if something were to happen. So the folks that are interested in a brick and mortar type situation, it's much more important for you guys to pay attention to this, because if there was a fire that caused the business to be shut down, all the people that you're in debt to are still going to want to get paid. That talks about employees, that talks about the rent, all those type of things. Any loan that you may have got, those folks are still going to want to get paid. And you're going to need business interruption coverage, because if your place burns down, you're not going to be making any money. No one's going to be coming to your place of business to pay you to provide your service at your brick and mortar location. You're going to need insurance coverage to step in and cover those expenses. Okay? And what this is saying is, a lot of times 80% of businesses are underinsured on the business income side of things. And once they're up and running, it takes a long time to get your client base back, because they've taken the opportunity to go find another provider for your service. And business income is something that will pay for that type of lost revenue. Okay? So that's the first bullet there. No two businesses are exactly alike. We even went around the room and we've got stuff from dog collars to social media updates, to runway models and fashion stuff. So that's why having someone that's competent in the world of business insurance is important to act as an advisor. Anyone planning to run a business out of their home? A couple folks? Okay.
I will too.
Okay.
To start with.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Depending if you manufacture or
Yeah.
exactly how things go.
Yeah.
Let me stop here and just touch on this for a little bit. Be very, very careful when you run the business out of your home that you still maintain proper coverage. You may feel that your homeowner's insurance or renter's insurance or condo insurance, whatever it is that you have on your property, is going to take care of this because it's out of your house. The answer is absolutely not. They are two different things. There is specific wording in your personal home insurance policy that excludes business operations. So if there's something that happens on your property that's related to your business, the adjuster is going to show up and going to ask you a couple questions and going to say, thank you for making this the easiest claim of my life. You have no coverage. Good luck. And I would say that's probably a bad conversation to have. So there's a couple things. You can add some endorsements to a homeowner's policy if they're available, depending on the type of business. Okay? And that's from anything that covers your equipment. So this computer, if you were using this computer at home and you were using it for business purposes, there's a limit in your home policy to how much the insurance will pay for this. So you got to be real careful about those type of things. Anything that's used for business is typically excluded completely from your personal homeowner's policy. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Did I hammer that enough to be careful of that? So if you do have a homeowner's policy and you want to add an endorsement, you think it might work, talk to your agent and find out. Okay? There are a couple different endorsements that can be added, but they're very limited in what they provide. We talked about that. Okay, we're going to spend most of the time on this next slide, and it's really just for me to know what I want to talk about. Casualty insurance, most commonly known, and again, this is not going to track with your slide that you have in front of you. I did that on purpose, keep you guys awake. Casualty insurance, or liability insurance. Can I get someone to give me a story or their thoughts on what liability coverage would take care of at, Angelique, say your location?
Someone falls off the runway.
Someone falls off the runway, okay?
And they want to sue me as if it's my fault that they couldn't walk.
Okay, okay. Now, you bring up a good point, because liability insurance, you have to be proven negligent. Now, stupidity is covered in most insurance policies, but they've got to prove that the model that was on the runway, that it was your fault.
Well, these are average people too, that get to walk the runway, so it could be
Yeah.
somebody that doesn't know how to walk, say.
Could be, could be. So, all right, so we got to keep everybody involved. Here you go. Here's a present. Congratulations. See, that is that's an example of poor liability and risk management by throwing something at
Knock her
somebody.
teeth out.
I just want to make sure everyone's staying on top of it.
So don't do that in your business.
Don't do that in your business,
Okay.
especially if it's heavier or sharper or whatever the case
Wine
is.
bottle.
A wine bottle.
Well, hey, you can throw one of those.
I was just saying.
So, but let me touch on that a little bit more. So the liability part, again, folks, you've got to be proven negligent, okay? So if you had a runway that was poorly built, or maybe there was a gap between two sections and the heel got caught, and that's what caused, now you're in trouble, okay? But if the person just can't walk on their own, not necessarily going to be your issue. Now, you may get drug into a lawsuit, and the liability or the casualty part of this will provide defense for you. The insurance attorneys are going to come in and defend you in that situation and say, Angelique had nothing to do with you tying your shoelaces together and being unable to walk down the runway, okay? But we'll talk about medical